You are listening to the Body Charge podcast, and I'm your host, Sandy Sanderson. Welcome to the Body Charge podcast. Today's topic is the magic of muscles for health and longevity. Frailty and disability are all too often associated with aging. The biggest effects seem to be felt from 50 onwards, even though many have a lifespan into their 80s and 90s. Does that mean 40 or 50 years of accelerated weakness, dependency, and disability? Some fitness experts say no, it doesn't need to be so. This half of life can be the most rewarding phase where all our wisdom and experience can be supported with health and energy. My special guest today is Timothy Ward, author of the book The Goat Within, a blueprint for living strong, with power, vitality, and unstoppable momentum. So thank you for being on the Body Charge podcast and welcome, Timothy. Lovely to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sandy. I am thrilled to be here and lots of information to share. There are so many components to living strong instead of accepting decay as you age. And we have a very large sample size here in my region with what I do with people. I've trained pro athletes, I've trained college athletes, young athletes, but I've shifted my focus over the last few years. I've been doing this for 30 years, exercise sciences. And what we've done is we've really focused in on the aging population, 45 years old-ish, right in that range, all the way to people in their late 70s and some in their 80s. Really educate them on exactly what you said in your opening. It's really important that people realize you don't have to age in what I call shrinking, accepting that shrinking, well, that's the way I should be. I'm 55, or, I don't do that anymore because I'm 65. This is the way I should feel. We're completely opposite. We teach you how to expand as you age, and it comes down to science. It comes down to um, really tying in certain components that really work synergistically together. And when people realize that, this is one of the reasons we've had so much success back here, because of the way our platform works, how we engage people mentally to think about what's happening. And so much so that my business advisors and a lot of clients that I have worked with over the years have urged me, you have to write a book on what you're doing. It's so specialized what you do. And I finally, after COVID and, we had some really dark days during COVID, as everybody knows, and we had a thriving brick and mortar gym, and we were going to open new locations and so on and so forth. And COVID just absolutely decimated our our business. So I guess out of, all that darkness, the light can come in, right? So
Yes,
we,
necessity is the mother of invention.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, even though it was painful and, really disrupted what we thought we were going to do, we adjusted. And I got to say, about a year and a half ago, I finally was like, you know what? We're in a much better spot now because we really do a lot of online stuff, and we've been able to bring our message into a much wider swath in the world. I train people in Italy, California, Chicago, Malta, Japan, and we are growing in inquiries, and we'll get into it quickly as we go through our dialogue here with each other. But
Yeah, so you mentioned before about the mindset, and
mm,
I feel that, the more I talk to people and the more they get close to retirement or they have retired or they're semi-retired, there's a mental thing that clicks in, and I think it's to do with programming. We just socially program ourselves, oh well, it's time to do less, subside,
hmm
kick back, put my feet up, not have to do the same routine every day. I can, take time off, and they like sometimes too easy on themselves. But we
hmm
find with challenge, that's what the body needs to become stronger. So we lose the routines, we lose the challenges that we thought were a chore, and we're allowed then not to do them when we get to a certain age. But then we go backwards, we get weaker,
Hmm.
we lose our life force. So what do you actually mean by the goat within in the book that you've written? What's the link with the goat?
Great question. So over the past, man, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so, especially through sports, professional sports, they call like Tom Brady the GOAT. The greatest of all time is the acronym. Okay, so it's used frequently for, NBA basketball players and all sorts of, public figures that have really excelled at whatever they do, right? Mostly it's been attached to sports and performance. So I was fishing through a title for the book and it's so on and so forth. And I started to play with that and sort of gave it to, some of the people I work with, and they were like, "Oh, wow, that is a really catchy title. It's very unique, but I'm trying to get people to realize they've got a shining light inside them, and they cover it up, and they never get to the greatest of all time for themselves. They've got the human body is amazing. It's a highly adaptive body, right? Whatever we feed it, it's going to adapt to it, whether that's negative or positive. Nothing is more true when it comes to exercise sciences and nutritional sciences, cardiovascular health, all that stuff, right? But I say to people, look, nowhere have I ever seen a multi-billion-dollar industry, and I write about this in the book, right? Where for $10 a month or $30 a month, you can walk in all this equipment and have at it. Go ahead and work, do whatever you want to do. So the stats I put in the book and all these things people can kind of look at, you know, there's gym memberships have really spiked. There's a lot of growth in gym memberships. However,
Do they use them?
disease, yeah, well, right. And when they try to use them, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
If I gave you keys to a fighter jet and I said, Sandy, go fly that around, come back in an hour, you'd look at me like I had 40 heads. What are you talking about, Tim?
I know.
Fly
Have
a
you ever
fight?
seen the dashboard and one of those things and all
Yeah,
the lights and the buttons and the, whoa, very overwhelming.
the human body's 100 times more sophisticated than that fighter jet. So what makes you think you can just walk into a gym or figure out food on your own? This is deep science. I just happen to be around PhD level Olympic training PhD guys, some of the best known in the world for years, exercise scientists. I mean, really, really good. Actually, my training partner for 4 years is a very proficient exercise scientist, opened a whole new world to me 30 years ago, 25 years ago. And I really started to understand the complexities of the human body and how you get to turn on the growth factors inside your body. And we have a huge sample size with the systems that we've created step by step. So many people have told me, wow, I have never heard fitness and wellness and longevity put like that. So knowledge becomes the driver.
Yes, let's get into
People,
the science. Let's get
yeah.
into the science because you mentioned growth factor, human growth factor. Then that works to stimulate stem cells for faster healing, better
Mm,
healing, and
hmm.
that's what we need. See is turned off as we age and we don't use the body and we don't have those challenges as much as we used to. The body kind of switches those mechanisms off or tones them down
Hmm.
or makes them slower. So when you have an
Hmm.
injury, or, things heal much more slowly.
That's right.
Then it's a downward spiral because then, oh, I can't go for my walks like I used to because it's stiff or sore or I'm
Hmm.
limping. And so that then causes more inactivity and more sedentary lifestyle. So
Hmm.
how do you get around that downward cycle? How do you turn it around and come back up?
That is a great question. One of the favorite parts of what I do is when somebody, usually they're 50-ish, 60-ish, sometimes 70, they finally give up feeling lousy. I'm getting overweight, my joints are stiff, blah, 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 on and on and on, right? So they finally will sit down with me, and here's the deal. there's three major longevity markers that are going to the doorways into the science, right? Muscle mass is number one. Okay. Huge study. Everybody in the world is going to start hearing more and more about this because research is finally showing that there's a called sarcopenia, muscle loss, right? Major, major
Yeah.
problem. You lose your muscle on your body, you start losing bone density, range of motion, metabolic rates drop, you're in trouble, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing we need to do is understand how important muscle mass is on the human body. By the time we're 45, we start losing about 2 pounds a year naturally.
Yeah.
You have to have a strategy to overcome that, and that's what we do with our clients and groups of people, athletes. The second thing is heart strength. You have to have a strong heart and circulatory system, right? The left ventricle wall in the heart actually thickens if you train the heart right. That means your heart works less to pump the same amount of blood. It's less effort. Your BPM, beats per minute, come down. Okay, that's heart health. Then there's metabolic strength. The first thing we teach is how to avoid toxic foods that cause inflammation, from the seed oils to fake sugars to fake. People, they hear about it, but they don't really understand it. So we've put together our trademark system called the Fitness Quadrant. The Fitness Quadrant is the roadmap, right? And this is our onboarding stuff. And I go into it in the book, in the third section of the book. So here are the four components. Very simple: resistance training, nutrition, cardiovascular on the lower left quadrant. In the lower right quadrant is rest and recovery. It's part of the training.
Very, very important. And I learned that myself with my own health issue in 2007. My magnesium levels crashed, and I
Mm,
developed that arrhythmia in the left ventricle,
mm,
that extra blip in the heart, which
mm-hmm.
caused heart arrhythmia. All because my electrolytes were out of balance because magnesium's the master mineral electrolyte that we lose under
Absolutely.
stress. And you mentioned toxic chemicals and additives in foods and things we're
Mm-hmm.
exposed to the environment. Many of them can block magnesium. So I
Exactly.
always thought that the green foods, oh, they've got lots of magnesium, but they've also got lots of oxalates which block your absorption of
That's right.
magnesium. So it is a science. You really do have to understand that, sometimes you're thinking you're eating healthy and you're not. You're not getting
Oh, yeah.
exactly what you need to drive your metabolism so that when you do exercise, you've got the power, you've got that metabolic thing happening with the oxygen coming in. You can, your
Yep.
mitochondria are working the way they should.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the right pH balance, which is
Mm-hmm.
important because if your pH in cells is a little bit too acidic. If it's not alkaline, you can't absorb enough oxygen. You have to go to sugar
Yep.
metabolism. That
Yep.
causes even more acid and more waste products in the system.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got a big detox problem. So it is a downward spiral if you don't know how to eat properly for the energy that your body needs. And we've been programmed that way the last
Yep.
100 years in run away from fat, and here's your fat-free yogurt, but it has
Oh,
lots of
yeah.
sugar.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
They actually created diabetes with the food pyramid
They,
and all the grains and the sugars
yes,
and
they
the
did.
fruit on the biggest part of the pyramid.
I am so glad you're bringing these points up. This is all in my book. I go over all of these issues. And not only do I bring awareness to each one of those quadrants, talking about these exact same things, but I talk about the synergy of the four quadrants, meaning this: you can eat really well, and that's great. That's going to get you down the road. But eating really well is not going to add muscle onto your body. Conversely, you could have really, really good workouts, right? And these are muscle hypertrophy workouts where you stress the muscle out enough so the muscle starts to grow a little bit, right? But the muscle won't grow even if you have great workouts if you don't have the right nutrition.
Yep,
You
your amino
have
acids. Yep, got to be able to
exactly.
digest your food so you're able to get the amino acids from the
That's
proteins
exactly
that you
right.
eat.
Yep. So that's all great, right? And then, okay, so what if you're one of these big muscular men or women, right? But you have no heart strength. You walk up a flight of stairs and you're sweating because your heart's dying on you, right? You can't even make it.
It's
So this is
panicking. Yeah, you got
exactly.
adrenaline response and anxiety because things
Yep.
are not right.
So you have to have the cardiovascular component if you're going to really press back against aging, if you really want to live in an anabolic world, which means growth, compared to a catabolic state. And I go over these issues clear
Yeah.
enough
So
so people
anabolic
can
is
understand.
building and repairing, and
That's right.
catabolic is taking away, disintegrating, falling
Yep,
backwards, getting weaker, and not being able to replace
that's right.
what you lose. So then you lose your strength.
So I love all, you see, some on the news, and then you see on social media, people focus on nutrition and, oh, you got to eat clean and all, and you do. I love some of those people. They're excellent. But I'm coming along here and I'm saying, wait a minute. If you really want to move the needle, it's got to be the combination of these four things. And each one of these four things has a huge drop-down list scientifically. You have to understand how to do them right. Let me just give you a quick snippet of what I mean, all right? Resistance training is the king of fitness for many, many reasons. All right. It's the driver of increased testosterone levels when you work out a certain way, range of motion, blah, 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 a ton of things, right? Here's the thing. Think about as you age how the joints degrade. Joint stiffness, range of motion, right? Now, here's how resistance training will take that joint, all right, through compression of the tissue, a little bit of load, which means weight, right? Resistant. That load on the connective tissue, say it's the shoulder, right?
Yep.
That's going to trigger synovicytes, these little pockets inside that connective tissue that produce what is called synovial fluid.
Yes,
It's
that's
a
the slippery
lu
stuff.
Exactly. It's the lubricant for the joints. So if you are not using your joints with load, with weight, which is body weight, a cable, a kettlebell, a dumbbell, right? You're never going to reverse the joint issues as you age. Okay, so that begs the question, okay, when I work out, I always get hurt. Now, here's one of the things that we really excel at on the kinesiology side. Our biomechanic instruction, and we do this with everyone, and I'm including pro athletes, don't really know, not all of them, but more than half of them don't know how to properly use biomechanics, which is exercise form. We have an unbelievable platform. We actually teach people how to do a squat right, how to do a lat pull down, how to do a dumbbell curl, where's the spine angle, where's the hip joint angled. And here's the reason why. First of all, if you don't know that stuff, you're going to get injured, right? But even if you don't really get injured, if the joints are being torqued, right? We have these little things also embedded in the joints called
Or like
GTOs.
in the wrong position, going the wrong way, that
Yes,
can cause injury.
yes, it's torque on the joints by having incorrect form. And
Yeah.
we teach this to everybody, even online. We have our modules and we go through it. So in your connective tissue, you have these things called GTOs, Golgi tendon organs. And this is my kinesiology background, right? We've brought this into the fray with our training. Golgi tendon organs sense torque on joints. When it senses torque, it shuts the muscle down. So people that are doing workouts with incorrect form, I know this is getting a little sciencey, those GTOs are being triggered and the muscle won't fire all the way. Okay, so they're not really getting any gains or any benefit out of the work, right? And everyone, 9 out of 10 people are like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong in the gym. I can't get ahead. I can't. And these little things add up. This is the science end of it. This is why I have peak clients in their mid 70s that are in unbelievable shape. They're climbing mountains. They're doing, global travel. They're surfing, men and women. I have an 85-year-old woman that had bad knees, bad back, et cetera, et cetera. I've been training her for 18 months. She's going to run the Boston Marathon at 86 years old. Her
Wow.
knees are fixed, her ankles, her lower back is strong, all
What
through
what
biomechanics.
about the shock, with the running thing? Because I do swimming every morning for my
Hmm.
exercise because I'm trying to avoid the the shock of the running on the footpaths and things like that. So
Great,
as
great
as
topic.
yeah, I'm pretty healthy for 66, but I've
Hmm.
noticed I got a little bit of clicking coming into my knees because I have a sedentary lifestyle. I spend most of the day on the computer.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, you know, there's an exercise strategy which needs to be very well balanced and all round to avoid either repetitive stress injury or
Hmm.
exercising an area too much, too long, or the wrong way.
So that's an excellent, excellent question. So I train a lot of doctors, and there's one surgeon that I train. He's 71 years old, huge triathlete. I mean, he's probably run and biked and swam in over 600 events. All right. So he's having the same issues, his ankles, his hips, his knees. Running can be very, very traumatic, right? Especially as we get old, we get the thinning out of the meniscus, our joint compression tolerance isn't what it was in the 20s and 30s, right? So if you're gonna run, if you really love running, I'll tell you this. First of all, invest a lot of money in great running shoes. Very, very important for shock absorption, right? Or secondly, run on a beach or sand. It's a soft landing or a track where it's rubberized. That's going to really, really help in the short term. But here's the thing I did with my surgeon. I've been with him for 19 months now. The bones get brittle as we age. If you don't have resistance training, a comprehensive resistance training program, the bones get brittle, right? Osteoporosis is a really big concern for women. So when you use resistance training, the muscle pulls on the tendon pulls on the bone. Guess what the bone does? It adapts to that. It's called adaptive remodeling. You get a new bone layer that starts to form over the bone because of the resistance. This is the magic of the human body.
Yeah,
What you feed it, the body will adapt to it, right?
yep.
So
So,
he's come a long way in 19 months. He's stronger. His knees don't hurt as much because of the work we do on the lower half and all that sort of stuff. So there's a rhyme to the reason here.
yeah, you mentioned osteoporosis, and the bones. And that ties in with another quadrant, going back to nutrition, that
Hmm.
as magnesium gets lower and the tissue cells have less reserves as we age,
Yep,
calcium starts to free float more and settle in the soft tissue and the joints and
that's
makes
right.
everything creaky and gristly and grindy, and it doesn't have so much synovial fluid because
Hmm.
there's not enough magnesium creating enough of a charge and also controlling the calcium because magnesium needs to be more than the calcium in the body so that everything is balanced. It's the master mineral electrolyte. And it's interesting that magnesium has an affinity for water. It pulls water
Hmm.
into cells. So
Hmm.
if the bones are getting low in magnesium, they're also getting low in water, which is
Hmm.
why people can, just fall and things break
That's
quickly.
right.
Whereas if you
That's
have
right.
a lot of magnesium, bringing moisture into the bones, you have a shock absorber so you
That's
can
right.
fall and you bounce. How good
Yep.
is that?
That's what my wife and I always talk about it. People that, utilize resistance training and proper nutrition, the fitness quadrant. I've seen people slip on the ice in the winter here, boom, they break their wrist or they break their hip, right? My wife is 62. She's in unbelievable shape. She's in my book and all that sort of stuff, right? She slipped last year on the ice, fell on her butt, bounced, got up like no big deal. I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 people would have been hurting, right? But we live what we preach for 35 years. We do what we do. We're incredibly healthy because of it. And just now, and I write about this in the book as well, Sandy, the circle of friends we have now, they're coming to us saying, what are you guys doing? Everybody's nosediving and we're going up, right?
Yep.
So we've become big examples at our age. And this is the wisdom and knowledge and the sample size we have for years. We've become examples for what we teach. And nothing says legitimacy more than that.
Do you have videos that you can teach people with where they can watch you how to do a particular exercise the right way so as not to cause injury, but to stimulate the growth hormone and do it the right way?
I do on my website, fitnessquadrant.net, www.fitnessquadrant.net. There's a lot of information on that website. We do have some free videos on it. We have some paid for modules. Um, under $100 for some really important ones. One of them is on biomechanics. And if people would just watch that, it would open a door in their brain and say, oh my goodness, I've been doing that all wrong my whole life. And that's just the beginning. When they listen, if you want to add 10 or 15, 20 years of onto your life, not just years, but I'm talking quality years, you have to start addressing this stuff. These longevity markers are there for a reason, but very few people have a strategy to utilize the right science methods. It's only 3 hours a week. You don't have to live in the gym. You don't have to become a gym rat. You have to have knowledge. Our workouts are short, but they're incredibly efficient. And we do have videos. There's videos in the book. I have QR codes in my book. People can click on the QR code and watch exactly what we're talking about. I narrate short videos so people can get a real feel for what I'm talking about. And our hope is that we can affect as many people across the globe as possible with this information. And well, maybe we can affect a few people that start to really understand this. And people can get in touch with us through the website and all that stuff. But we're here to make a difference. And thanks to people like you having me on a podcast, I love it. It's so important for me in my journey in my life. How can I help as many people as possible? And that's what we're here to do. I do it locally, but now we're looking to really expand. And the bottom line is bring goodness to people through living strong instead of living weak. And there's a way to do it.
I love that. Live strong. And that's our philosophy at Elektra Magnesium as well. It's to help people, empower them to be the steward of their own life and experience, to be well and healthy and experience the best of life, to be the best
Yeah.
that they can be for as long as possible. There's no reason that we should suffer all the way to the end. You were
Mhm.
giving examples before about, elderly people with strong bones. My mother-in-law, who's been on transdermal magnesium for 15 years. A couple of years ago, she was coming up the hill of the driveway on her scooter because we live on acreage, and a
Yeah.
deer just flew out in front of her and
Oh.
twisted the bike. So she
Oh.
she flew. It stopped at a little wood pile, but she flew off the bike down a 5 meter embankment onto
Wow.
rocks.
Wow.
She was 91 at the time,
Oh.
and she had cuts and bruises, but she didn't break a thing. No
Wow.
bones broken at that
Wow.
age. So there
Wow.
you go. It's possible. And we need to get out of this mindset of I'm gonna have these problems because I'm old. No, 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 no. We
Don't,
just
yeah,
need to think differently, right?
yeah, don't shrink as you get old, expand.
Yep.
Do it and teach your loved ones how to do it. Teach your children, teach your spouse. It's a really
Teach
electrifying
your
thing.
doctor.
Yeah, don't even. I talk about it in my book. It's unbelievable, right? So we're coming out with a whole series on another community platform we're building right now called School, Skool. We're just building it right now, but I train a lot of physical therapists, doctors of physical therapy. They've written me, hailed me as the greatest thing in local, because I train their people and all that. But one guy that I work with, he owns 40 PT clinics. He treats about 300,000 people a year. And Dan and I um, we're starting to shoot mini series on exactly what we're talking about. And we're going to put it on our school platform.
Yep.
Uh, very
That,
inexpensive, but a lot of freebies as well. So people can start to understand it more. And we're doing
yep.
all of this stuff just to
Well, we
give the
need to
right.
start at kindergarten level, right?
Oh, I
And
write about it in my book. You're so right. There's no education.
we need to make this start and we need to progress because we don't know what we can become doing it the right
Hmm.
way. I think
Hmm.
we have barely scraped the surface of the potential of humanity. And there's another topic on a podcast to come, I'm sure, about mental health and
Hmm.
about
Oh yeah.
dementia and Alzheimer's. That's all
Oh yeah.
kind of a metabolic syndrome where things
Yep.
just seize up and atrophy and you get plaque in the brain.
That's right.
So using these strategies, you can also avoid that because you want to keep your mind and your brain intact, obviously, all the way to the
Absolutely.
end, right?
Absolutely. You want to keep both, right? But there's a lot of studies out on neurogenesis and how synapses grow and they create new brain cells, literally, right? And fitness plays a role in it. And,
If you don't use it, you lose it.
yeah, and through certain types of physical movements, we do these with our clients. The brain has to think. It's timing, it's agility, it's balance. We have all that stuff we do for people. Um, and then supplementation is really big for brain health.
It is,
Um,
but we're coming to
big,
an
big, big.
end. But
Okay.
but to be continued, I'd really like to do another session with you in the future because this
Mm,
is a whole other kettle of fish,
hmm.
the effect on the brain. But thank you so much. I really appreciate the conversation, Timothy. It's been so interesting.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you to your listeners. And God bless everybody and live strong. Do not live weak. And there's a way to do it.
Live strong. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You bet. Bye bye.
I hope you liked this conversation and will share it with others. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you want to listen to other Body Charge conversations, click like, subscribe, the bell icon, and click all notifications. Subscribe to our newsletter to get updates on blogs, podcasts, videos, and magnesium special offers at electromagnesium.com.au. Relax, recharge, and recover.